Hello, I'm Janelle Shalla, and in this Back to Basics video, I'm going to be discussing citrine. Now, as you can see from my first example, citrine is a macrocrystalline variety of quartz, which simply means the crystals form large enough that you can see distinctive shapes and they're recognizable with the naked eye. And it goes in the same group of crystals as clear quartz, smoky quartz, and amethyst. You always get the same number of sides. It always has 6 sides, forms a long, thin column, and has a point at the top. Before I discuss what citrine does, I want to show you the next example, because this more exemplifies how I feel about citrine. If you look at it, notice the warm, strong color of it. It's a really lovely, yummy sort of color. Citrine is sunshine in crystalline form. And if you think how sunshine makes you feel, especially in the winter when you're not getting very much of it, it brings light into the body. It makes you feel happier. It definitely lifts sadness without question. It aligns with the solar plexus chakra, so it's also one of the crystals we can use to release tension that we might be holding in that area. And the other thing citrine does is it's known as the merchant stone. So people will place it in their purses, in their till drawers in the shop, or carry it with them, or create an altar just to attract abundance. I've just shown you 2 pieces that are from Africa, and this is the most common place that we get citrine these days. Citrine used to come from Brazil and Russia, and it still does, but we're not getting as much out of it now. So most of what you get these days is from Africa, either Zambia or from the Republic of Congo. Reason I'm mentioning this is if you want to have a lovely crystal on an altar, this is a Brazilian variety or a Brazilian example. This is called a prism. It's actually the crystal shape, but somebody has polished the sides and cut the base of it so it will sit nicely on a table or an altar. You can also use these decoratively. And this leads into one of the issues with citrine. Unfortunately, a lot of what's on the market isn't actually citrine, it's heat-treated amethyst. And I'm going to give you a quick lesson on how to tell the difference between the two. Because that one's Brazilian, and I'm going to show you a group of Brazilian crystals, they'll give you an idea of the difference. This is a natural citrine from Brazil. You notice the sides are straight, the color is pale, and it looks, you can imagine if it were clear, it would look just like a clear quartz point. From Brazil as well is amethyst. Now the coloring agent for citrine is iron. It's included iron in the crystal. The coloring agent for amethyst is iron. However, amethyst forms at a lower temperature than citrine. And notice with amethyst, it's quite distinctive. You get the point here, but the sides, because it forms in a very dense bed, the sides will be broken off. You don't get straight sides like you do with citrine. However, if you heat the amethyst to 420 degrees Celsius or higher, you get this. It goes a golden yellow. It's got a slightly orange cast to it, and that's one of the ways of telling the difference. But if you look at the two together, you see the base is white and you don't have sides to the crystal, only the termination or point. So what do you do if your crystals are all, if your citrine that you're using is all heat-treated amethyst? A lot of people get very upset about this. I just suggest being very philosophical about it. I actually use each of them. I prefer the natural citrine, but I have a heat-treated amethyst in my chakra layout set because sometimes it's the color. We use a lot of color therapy in crystal healing, and sometimes it's the actual color that we need rather than the crystal. It's different. I wouldn't say it feels like citrine. It feels different, but it equally doesn't feel like amethyst. Now, citrine doesn't form large clusters, and usually if you have a cluster or a geode, you can be guaranteed that this is going to be heat treated. They're still very beautiful to look at. This example here has been heat treated to about 420 or 30 degrees Celsius. It's quite pale in color. The darker the color, the higher it's been heated, usually. Well, I think always. So you get an idea of it. It's still very pretty. There's nothing wrong with having it as a decorative piece, definitely. And I'm going to show you another example that's been heated to a higher temperature, and you can see it's actually gone brown. You get a lot of geodes like this. This is still heat-treated citrine. This is amethyst. It is not citrine. However you feel about it, I think it's a really, really important mineral. One of the reasons that we get a lot of the fakes, or not fakes, but you know, the baked amethyst, is because citrine is becoming very rare and very difficult to get hold of. It's much more difficult to get hold of than any of the other macrocrystalline quartzes. So clear quartz, smoky quartz, and amethyst are easy. They're fairly common. Citrine is not. But I do think it's one of the most important crystals, one of the ones you need for the mineral medicine chest, so I still recommend getting hold of some.